G'day, welcome back. In this episode, I'm going to restore the fuel tank in the WB Ute. Alright, so finally came out of stage 3 ISO in Victoria in regional areas, so people are out and about, and I'm in the shed doing a restoration video, but that's what I like to do. While I'm finishing off the front end and doing the other side, I thought I'd skip over to the fuel tank and show how I'm planning on restoring that. So as you can see, it's a big old thing in the fuel tank in the WB, very primitive looking thing, but it does the job. Mine's actually in pretty good nick. I mean, it's admittedly got surface rust and it's quite dirty, but I'll take that back with a wire wheel and give it a good clean. But essentially, it's got no pinholes, it's never leaked, doesn't have any major dents or damage to it, which is good. I think it's time to restore it, paint it as it is part of the chassis. So I did see KBS made a sealer kit, which I thought was quite interesting, so I thought I'd get one and have a crack at it. And from what I could see, it's the same, so there's 3-stage processes or all the other stuff. You got your aqua clean, your rust blast, and then your actual sealer. I'm just going to open it up and have a look and then get stuck into it. If anyone's used the KBS stuff for the chassis and the rust seal, any polyurethane from KBS, they'll know you get the aqua clean as part of the kit, which is basically a degreaser cleaner. First things first, make sure that your tank is obviously emptied of fuel, and be very careful dealing with fuel. Obviously, don't be welding up or doing any kind of repairs on the fuel tank unless you know what you're doing. I'm purely just sealing this tank. I'm not going to be doing any repairs as such because I don't need to. Aqua clean, give it a good clean, and then rust blast. Give it a good wash around inside, make sure that everything's been converted and treated. Comes with a set of gloves, which is all right. And then, yeah, this is the sealer itself. Seal seams and pinholes, flexible non-porous coating. I would imagine it's a polyurethane-based paint like the rest. That's the kit, and then it comes with application information, which I'll be reading through now and make sure that I do everything properly, and I will take you guys along. So let's have a look at this tank. Now, I don't know too much about these tanks other than that they're old and they're made out of metal. So you can see it is pretty much a rectangle. It's got some old tar strips or something on there, obviously to fit it in. You've got the fuel pipe in there, and then you've got the breather, I think that is. So I've just sealed that up so that I've emptied all the fuel in this. But I will be having another look just to see that it's all out. So, and then this is the sender. I have to get that out in order to have a look and see. From memory, I'm pretty sure this is cactus. So I just want to get it out, have a look. Yeah, when you're actually sealing this, you'll be leaving it back in and then sealing this. So you could either put a cork in it or any kind of cap that you could find, or you could just tape it up. And it's pretty filthy, but as you can see, it's in pretty good nick. So it's in pretty good nick on the top, but you can see it has got a decent old dang there. But it never leaked. So yeah, I mean, I'm probably going to leave that because I'm not going to get into trouble by start stuffing around with the fuel tank and panel beating and things like that and try and get it inside. So I'm happy with that. As long as it's sealed and reconditioned with some paint, then I'm happy to put it back in. And it could be a lot worse. So let's have a crack at trying to get this sender removed, and we'll have a look at the condition of it and then assess and go forward to cleaning it. Alright, so I figured out how to get it out. So it's this little ring sits in front of the sender like that, and then you just tap it counterclockwise with a screwdriver as you saw, and it comes off, and then you can just remove it. So this is the sender, primitive looking thing. It doesn't look like it's got some flaky rust on it, things like that. The electronics very crude as they may be, still look like they're intact. You've got a pretty crude, dirty filter here. It looks and it feels like it's absolutely jammed with crud. Because it ran on gas this ute before I took it apart, the fuel, when I did start it up, it would run for a while and then it would start like that. So I'd imagine it was just dirty fuel. It's probably an indication why. So I don't know. I'll have to have a look at whether I get a new sender or not. I don't think this would be overly expensive, so I may as well get one, considering it's going to be running solely on fuel. You want to make sure it's a good one. So, okay, amendment. I just quickly ducked off and did some research as to how much these were. $147 for a replacement one from Resto Country. So not cheap at all. But this is full of gunk. I don't know how to replace this or remove this here. So I assume they may be just a general replacement. Correct me if I'm wrong. If anyone knows, if I can change the filter bag alone, or can I get a complete aftermarket sender for these tanks? Because I'm going to be running a 355. I'm running the 308 engine, potentially stroking it to 355. I'm just wondering whether this is going to be enough, or I need to get an aftermarket one that's going to deliver more fuel. If you know, post comment. And also, I did read the documentation here. It says remove all senders, filters, etc. So get rid of it. I'm going to take it outside the gurney and give it a good pressure wash, aqua clean, and see how it comes up. Alright, so I haven't used aqua clean before, but I've just read on the back, it needs to be a 1-to-1 mix with hot water, and it does say to put some kind of hard material inside. So I'm going to put this old chain inside the tank, so when I'm agitating it around, it's going to help take off all that rusty, flaky crap inside the tank. So anyway, I'm going to mix it up now. I'm going to do the outside first and then the inside, and yeah, give it a couple of goes, I reckon 2 rounds, and get it nice and clean. Once again, got carried away after degreasing, and I decided to get the wire wheel out and just go right over it and get it back to bare metal before I do the internals, because there's no point doing the internals if you're just going to then create dust again afterwards. So yeah, I'm happy with that. I'm going to rust blast that straight after I've done the inside. So I'll clean the inside now with the aqua clean. That a bit of a burst, and then I'll do the rust inverter all at once afterwards. I look like bloody Bono in these safety glasses, but now I've just put the aqua clear inside, so I'm just going to give it a bit of a swirl around and agitate that chain. You can hear it. Probably got a couple of litres aqua clear 1-to-1 mix in there. Sorry, aqua clean. Taped up the sender hole. So I'll just keep doing that, and then I'll empty it out and see what colour the water is. Just taking the breather hose connection off. Just taking the tape off the sender hole, and I'm just getting the gurney in there. Just a quick little side note, I was struggling to tape up the fuel hole and the actual sender hole, so I just got some of this foam mats, just like a gym mat, and it's about 10 mil thick, and just pressed it against the openings, and I've got some tape to stop it coming out, but basically just plugged it up with that stuff. Got to press it against it, got a template, and then just pushed it in. It's sealed nice, so I'm going to use that just to plug it up, so I can just pop them out and pop them back in without having to retape it all the time. All right, that's 2 treatments, and the colour of the water is still very, very dirty, so I'm going to go for a 3rd. Look at that, filthy. So there's still a lot of rust and debris in there, so I'm going to keep going until I can get that water pretty much clear. 2 more cleans, so that's 4 all up. And it's still very dirty, so I'm just going to keep on going. All right, 6th washout, and I've finally got clear water. So that is enough for me. And now I'm going to move on to the next stage, which is the rust blast. This is undiluted. Just chuck it in, seal it up, do the same process, rotating the tank. Yeah, actually, I just went back and referred to the instructions, and it says chuck it in, rotate every 5 minutes, the same way with that motion I was doing with the AquaClean, for at least 20 minutes. So depending on how heavily rusted it is inside, you might want to do that and leave it for up to 1 to 2 hours, or 20 to 40 minutes, just depending on, you got to make the call really. And then empty it out. Don't let it dry inside. It's got to be wet, and then you got to wash it off. Then you're ready for the final stage, which is the sealer. So I've left that for a few hours and kept turning it because the rust was quite bad inside, so surface rust. So yeah, I've done that as much as possible. I've just emptied the residue out there, and there's still a little bit of debris coming out. So I will give it a light rinse. But what I've found inside, I heard something rattling around, and I pulled out this hose, and I've got no idea what the fuck it is. I'm pretty sure it might be the breather line or something. It must be an internal breather line that sits in there, or it's just shouldn't be in there at all. I'm assuming there's no way it would be in there for no reason. So I've had a look inside where the sender is. See that hose? Those two hoses there. You can see the fuel line up the top right, and then you've got a smaller hose, a smaller metal hose, and then a larger one, which are the two outlets, the breather and something else. So I'm assuming it was connected onto one of those, but I don't know which one. And so when you're rolling that polyurethane around, you don't want to be blocking that one on the left. So my theory is I can't get anything in there to jam them up, so I might I'll do the sealer, and then at the end put a air hose in both those little connections and just blow them out, just so I know there's no polyurethane blocking them. Once that's done and it's sealed, then I'll have to go back in at a later stage and see if I can reconnect that hose once I can find out a bit more information. I can't find anything on the internet, so if anyone knows, please let me know in the comments, because I'm assuming that's quite crucial. If it's in there and was serving a purpose, it needs to go back in there again and do the same. So yeah, this hose, probably about 70 centimetres or so long. It's got a tapered cut on it. I'm imagining it's going to go on that smaller breather tube inside. I don't know how I'm going to thread it on, but I'm assuming if you get something long, some long clamps like that, you might be able to do it. So yeah, the story continues with this tank. So now I'm going to flush it out and then get ready to dry it and then seal it. So I've gone through this tank with a fine-tooth comb. There's a couple of loose rocks and stuff inside. I've got the vacuum cleaner, and I've just had it sitting out in the sun now for a while, and I'm pretty happy with the inside. Yeah, if you zoom down on it, you can see it's etched in. It's got rid of that rust, and it's etched in nicely. And so there's some red oxide at the front there, which they say is normal after the rust blast. So I'm pretty happy with that. That's the best it's going to be. And those two pipes, I will make sure that I blow out at the end so they don't get clogged. And I'm going to ask a question about that pipe and how to reconnect it and what it's actually for. But yeah, that's it. So I've done the best job possible for this tank, and now it's time to pour the sealer in and seal it. All right, I'm in the booth, so I've got everything set up for the next stage, and that's put the sealer in, and I'll just refer to my documentation so that I know I'm doing right. Open the sealer can, pour entire contents into the tank. Simple as that. Here's your 1 litre of tank sealer. It says to open it and give it a good stir, not shake, because you don't want bubbles to form because it's polyurethane. Pour the entire can inside the tank, sealer up, kept my foam sealing pads that I made earlier. Swirl it around with a 360 motion and keep swirling for no longer than 15 minutes. Once it's thoroughly coated inside, make sure you drain the excess material or the excess paint out within 30 minutes. Because you don't want to leave that whole residue in there and that'll just create like a big heavy weight at the bottom of the tank. So you can actually recapture the paint you haven't used and use it on the outside, which I'm going to do. So I probably won't actually use all the tank because I want to spray the outside of this tank the same colour. I'm just going to leave enough to give it a coat of paint on the outside. It's not UV stable, so being a fuel tank, it's not going to see sunlight anyway. I just thought it'd be nice to do a silver instead of a black to spice things up a bit. All right, so I'm going to turn the fan on because it is quite a potent smell. So use your ventilator and your exhaust fan, and put my gloves on as well. So first I'll start sealing the tank. Once it's sealed and give it a bit of time, I'm going to spray the outside with the leftovers. Alright, so due to the design of the HQWB fuel tank, there actually isn't an area that is the lowest point to pour out the excess. So this pipe comes in and it's actually got a lip, probably about 1.5 centimetres inside. So no liquid can go in there. These are obviously pipes that are going in, so it can't actually go out there. And then you've got the sender opening, which is raised up from the base as well. So in order to try and get extra or the leftover paint out of there, it's almost impossible. You've got to sort of drain it past and it dribbles out. So what I've done is I've decided just to leave it in there. Well, I don't have any choice, it's not coming out. And I'm just going to oscillate it and keep oscillating it. And you've seen in the footage, it's covering those walls beautifully. And it's just going to take a bit longer to basically oscillate it all around, and eventually it'll start curing and it won't drip and pool in one localized area, and it'll be an even coverage. So that's what I'm going to do. And I've just got removed the tape from these little breather holes, and I'm just going to pop a bit of air in them just so they don't clears the nozzle. So anyway, I'm just going to keep oscillating this. I've rust treated the outside. So as soon as I'm happy that that's not pooling anywhere in the internals, I'm going to hang it up on my little contraption here and spray it. So here we go. Well, that's as good as I'm going to get it. I've oscillated the tank many times, and finally it's starting to pool at the bottom evenly, so it's not puddling. So yeah, it might be a bit thicker at the base. It's probably going to be about 3 mil or something in the base, but I'm happy with that because that's where the fuel's going to be sitting anyway. So it's probably best to have it heavier at the bottom than right at the top. So, but it's all covered. You can see that there's obviously still some rough surface, but it's all covered and sealed. So I'm happy with that. So based on that, I'm going to start painting it. Just mocked up a crude little bracket system so I can keep the whole unit flat to maintain as smooth as possible coating inside, because I don't want to keep turning it when there's more product in there. If I keep it level, then it's just going to harden on the bottom and a nice flat smooth finish. I'm going to fire up the spray gun and get this thing finished. you have it. Fuel tank's officially done with the KBS fuel sealer kit. Happy with it, how it turned out. As you can see, the external coverage is a bit almost like a hammer tone. I'm not too sure if that's deliberate or it's just obviously the way that the polyurethane is made for this sealer kit. But I'm happy with the way it's turned out, and it's not black. So far everything's been black on the chassis, so it's good to break it up with a bit of silver. You saw the internals have really been covered nicely. That extra that was inside is leveled out on the base, and it's a nice smooth surface. So yeah, all in all, I think it's a really good alternative to buying a whole new gas tank. If you've got a gas tank that's in reasonable nick and you want to salvage it, these things I've been looking at eBay and Gumtree, all that kind of thing, go from anywhere from, from a ship one for $500 all the way to $650, $690 for an original gas tank in good nick. So obviously there's aftermarket gas tanks out there. If you want to do a custom gas tank, a big engine, or if you're customising your ride and you want to do a fuel tank that's specific to the engine you're putting in, then obviously you'll do that. But if you want to keep it original, there's nothing wrong with the old original fuel tanks. So that's what I've done here. It's another thing I can tick officially off the list and move on to the next component of the chassis, which will be the rear end leaf springs. And yeah, rebuild those up. I've still got to assemble the front end and finish that as well. So hoping to get that done the next couple of weeks. So, and on another note, I've decided as of next episode, I'm going to do a spotlight, basically to be anyone that's following this channel or subscribed and has shown an interest in showing their build or is doing their build. I would like to highlight or showcase one build every couple of weeks, and I suppose show the other community what some other guys that follow the channel are up to. And as I mentioned earlier, there's been quite a few builds and a few people contact me saying that they'd watched the channel and it inspired them to start their build. So I thought, why not showcase and see what stages they're up to. And I think that'd be a cool way to see other people out there and what they're actually doing. And some people have actually started their builds after I've started and sent me finished photos. So they're actually doing it faster than I am. I know I'm at a snail's pace, but that's just the way I've chosen to do it. So anyway, as of the next episode, if you're interested, send me the details of your builds and I'll choose the one that I think is appropriate to showcase in the next episode. And send me some photos and things like that as well. I've already got a few that I made contact and asked them if it's alright to showcase. And we'll go from there. As per usual, if you like this episode, give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't, consider subscribing to the bell and you'll get notified of the next episode. So until then, see you later.